All right, guys. We'll go ahead and we'll move on to our nerd news, our next little area of the show. I'll go ahead and take this first piece because I wrote it for GamerHeadlines.com, of course. But interesting piece of news, video game news here. So the Nintendo president Satoru Iwata will not be attending E3 2015. Nintendo made a press release announcement saying that yes, Iwata will not be attending this year's event. And this was actually a statement that they gave to IGN, which I don't know why IGN inquired about that, but they did. But this is the full statement Nintendo released. They wrote, Nintendo's focus for E3 this year will be showcasing the many games we have coming for both Wii U and Nintendo 3DS. Mr. Miyamoto and other members of our development team will be in Los Angeles to explain these games and the unique experiences that each offers. Mr. Iwata's focus in this period will be on other areas of our business that require his presence in Japan. And but of note, by the way, this is the second year in a row that Iwata is not going to E3. Last year he didn't go because I think he had just gotten surgery done, and his health, he wasn't really in traveling condition and stuff like that. So he didn't attend E3 2014. So, I mean, another kind of like side note on this news is it's interesting that they pretty much confirm what we thought Nintendo was going to be showcasing this year, because they've already said they're not going to talk about NX. They're saving that for next year. And so, they're doing exactly what we thought. They're going to talk about games, being released on both Wii U and 3DS, which I really think this is going to be the last year that they do that, because, obviously next year...
The final push
on
the Wii U.
Exactly, yeah. This is the last time that they're like, hey, it's our new system, check it out. And then starting next year, they're just going to start prepping up NX, just like what they did with the Wii U back in, I think it was like 2010 or 2011. I think they first showed it off. Yeah, I think it was 2011. But yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Iwata not being there, I guess it's pretty big news that the president, again, is not attending. I don't know. I mean, business stuff, I guess it's good that he's working, but I don't know.
I think they're just lying. I think he's not ill. I think he's just playing on a Konami Chinko machine. He doesn't want to turn up at E3.
2 years in a row. It's the same excuse. Like,
so, yeah, exactly.
We can't do health again.
He's like, get off that Chinko machine. He's like, no, this is the future. One day we'll get people to insert amiibos into these Chinko machines.
Oh man, that's great. Instead of coins, you gotta just stick in an amiibo inside.
Yeah.
Like a $10 amiibo you stick in the slot. That's the only way to play it.
Yeah. It's not really that bad for them, especially because, not in a patronizing way, his English isn't that brilliant. Mm-hmm. And he's not really the kind of... I don't know, I always don't associate him as the face of Nintendo.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have a very... articulate way of speaking like Phil Spencer does, or is it Andrew House?
Yeah, for
Andrew
Sony Computer Entertainment Europe, right?
Yeah, like he's a very good, like they're both very articulate at speaking. They kind of present things and they do it really well and fluently and just get things across really quickly.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think it's better that if they give that to Reggie now, because he has always been kind of that face of Nintendo. People have seen for the last 10 years, like he is very much he's energetic, which is like a good thing. The other fact to take into consideration is that Nintendo are doing another tech presentation. Mm-hmm. Was it tech stage presentation, whatever you want to call it, digital live.
Oh, yeah, what is it? They're like, our digital stage, or whatever.
Yeah, like, whatever you want to fucking call it, where people have to watch from, like, a computer screen. People at E3 have to watch on a computer screen, like, kind of destroys the ethos of E3, but,
hey, now they could watch it while they're waiting for the Square Enix show to start. Just, hey, let's watch Nintendo's presentation while we're in line or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. All their iPhones and Apple Watches is like watching. That was pun intended, by the way. Watching.
I liked it.
But
Matt
David. Matt David. It's not detrimental. I don't think it's that bad for them. Probably from a standpoint when Nintendo are coming from this E3, it makes no sense because, they want to kind of give that reputation to the Wii U where we can sell games on it and whatever, but when you have a new system around the corner, it's a little bit... I just think Nintendo have done it wrong because Sony announced PlayStation 4 and Microsoft did it in such a way that people were still buying Xbox 360 and PS3 games. And it didn't like hinder their performance in that fiscal year. I just think this is kind of like going to hinder it because whatever you announce, people just don't care.
Yeah.
Because if there's only so much lifespan on the Wii U, which will probably end when the NX comes out, why would you invest in a Wii U?
Exactly. It's kind of a hard because like they have to announce some pretty cool shit this year. Because if you're, like us, and you just start thinking, well, let me just see what they're going to announce. Let me see what the NX is before I go out and buy a Wii U. Because who knows, maybe NX is like this amazing, there's rumors that it might even be like part virtual reality or something like that. Yeah, dude, they're going to have to announce some pretty cool stuff. The sad part is, man, I feel like in a way, if we don't get like major title announcements like a Metroid game or something like that this year's E3, I feel like that might be it. Because, typical Nintendo is, okay, so this year we're going to get some Wii U titles and stuff. Next year, even after the announcement of NX, we'll probably get some more, Wii U titles. But then in 2017, when supposedly NX is going to come out, we're not going to get anything, man. Because, like, I remember leading up to the GameCube, the N64 was like a desert. Like, it was like the Sahara. No one was releasing anything on it. Same thing with GameCube, same thing with Wii. It's just always been this tradition, starting with the N64, that they just don't release anything once a console's about to come out. So, I mean, it kind of puts me in a little bit of a worry point. Like, I hope it's not like last year's E3, where it was like an okay thing, but not like worthy of being like a major, Nintendo Direct for E3,
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I don't really have any faith behind Nintendo at the minute in terms of the Wii U. I think it is kind of like on its it's literally on life support right now. Not saying that's a bad.
I was gonna say really quick, it's got some good titles though, dude. It's
not in the sense. The life support isn't like kind of an insult in terms of what the content is, because Bayonetta and like a lot of other exclusives have really given it, but it's just like Nintendo alienated its support from the Wii U in terms of you have first party studios, but first party studio games don't sell it on their own. You need third party, and third party is huge. When you don't have Activision, Ubisoft, EA supporting games on your system, you're alienating a massive crowd.
Agreed.
Like the thing is though, same with Microsoft. Microsoft can alienate first-party studios, yet with third-party support, where it's supporting over the online system, that's where they're going to aim at. They don't really, they try to get the first-party studios back and kind of in gear, but they always still have that support from the third parties. I think that's where Nintendo just went wrong. And like the live support isn't a complete insult; it is a little bit insulting in terms of what the Wii U's become, but it's not like kind of saying that it's a terrible machine with no games and no quality on it. Right. It has quality, yet it's not been produced in the standard that it should be in, or in quantity.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, dude. Definitely they released that system. They got off on the wrong side of the bed, let me put it that way, when they released that, because it was just such a bad first impression, Like, it really felt like they were going to continue catering to that casual crowd that they had caught up with the Wii. But then Nintendo slowly realized, oh, fuck, wait a minute. The Wii was, what was it called? Like, it was something that was a one-off thing, a one-trick pony. And now those people are onto iOS games, which we've talked about before on the show, I think. And now, fuck, no one's getting it. Let's get the hardcore back. You know what I mean? And by that point, the hardcore had bought a PS4, or like something else, and they just didn't care anymore. So it's true, man. Like it's a really weird, it's a weird like state to be in, Like at this point.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
But all right. Well, I think we've set our fill on this. Dude, do you want to take this next piece on? Well, I was about to reveal what it is, but do you want to take this next piece?
Yeah, I'll do this one.
You can have the next slice of pizza, dude. Go ahead. It's cool. That's what we'll call it. The next slice of pizza.
Big news came earlier this week. It's a little bit old, but we kind of are we're on life support in terms of getting news. But this is a really kind of interesting topic nonetheless. So, footage of what is believed to be Microsoft's rumored Gears of War remaster has appeared online. So, gameplay videos were originally posted on the Xbox DVR website, which gathers clips recorded using Xbox One's integrated capture technology. However, the clips have since been removed. Naturally, the footage has now appeared in alternative locations, as you would. YouTube and also on NeoGAF, there's been images and screenshots being thrown around. When they were asked, this website was asked for a statement on the leak. Microsoft spokesman said, "We have nothing to announce at this time," as they would. So yeah, that was the kind of huge terms of news of what happened. I mean, there's also kind of reports that it runs at 60 frames per second, features new cinematics. Blacktoe Studio, who are working on the new Gears of War, are not supposedly working on this. It's Splash Damage, which is a UK-based studio. So yeah, that was
it's kind of hard. Like, honestly, I don't think they need. Like, Black Tusk is kind of busy right now. Like, they need to focus on like what's going to be what we hope is Pendulum Wars, even though I know it's not, dude. Sadly, that's a reference to what Adden and I really want it to be about the Pendulum Wars, but that's another tale for another time. But yeah, it's kind of hard to mess up an HD remaster. I know that I forgot the guys' names right now, but the people who did the HD remaster for MGS 2 and 3 and Peace Walker, which they've also done a ton of other HD remasters. They're great at it. I mean, they do a great job. So I'd be curious to see how these people do it. Dude, I don't know. I remember you first told me about this news last week, and my first reaction was like, I hope it has the Gears trilogy packed in. But all the reports so far are making it seem like it's only going to be Gears 1, which wouldn't be the first time Microsoft's done that, because they did that with the 10-year anniversary version of Halo 1 when they released that on Xbox 360. So it's not unheard of.
Sony's doing it with God of War 3.
Yeah, and Sony's doing it with God of War 3 as well. So it's definitely something that's not unheard of. And it could, I mean, Sony also did God of War 1 and 2 in a package. So they've done multiple releases and big ones. So I don't know, dude. I'd be very intrigued. I mean, I may have to like pass on this initially if it happens, only because there's other titles I'd rather get as one of my 12 games this year. But it would definitely be something that if I got it, like if someone bought it for me, I'd be like, thanks, and I would like really enjoy the hell out of it. I love Gears of War. I've actually been more of a Gears of War fan than I have a Halo fan. So yeah, but I'm digging it, dude. I'm intrigued with it. I think the added content you're talking about. It's something I'd be very curious about, dude, if they would include in the remaster. I don't know if you remember this, but there's a PC version of Gears of War that included one mission. It was like an extra like chapter. Yeah, exactly.
Also included Sanctuary map in the multiplayer.
Yeah, I never got to play any of that because I never bought, and it stayed exclusive to PC like till the end. So I'd be very interested to see if they end up like doing that. They put in content that was never released before.
I think they will use the PC version as the kind of foundation.
Yeah.
If they were going to do a remaster, because it makes sense, as you said, the missions, and then they can kind of like mix around on it. I am freaking excited for E3, especially because I know Rod Ferguson and Black Tusk are there, and this is the year that kind of Gears of War, something is going to be shown. It's going to be like a really niche teaser they're going to show, but
yeah,
nonetheless, I'm freaking excited for it.
It should be Marcus Phoenix in the desert with a thing over his head, like what they did with Master Chief. Like, that's their teaser
Master
for
Chief,
all their...
who has a
helmet,
futuristic helmet and suit, is wearing a cloth over him.
Yes.
To get that dust away from the suit. No, like it made sense that Big Boss has it. Like he does have like a poncho in the desert. He looks cool with it, but he is like human. Master Chief is a super soldier.
He's very like sentimental about his armor. He doesn't want it to get like blast scoring or anything like that.
Probably fucking is. Like I'm not gonna disagree with that.
So, I think that'd be so great, dude. That's the thing. Like it's so hot in this desert. The Marcus Phoenix voice and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But yeah, I think like in our pre-free show, I think I'll touch about this more. But I think that this year will mark the Gears of War remaster collection or whatever it is. I think it might just be Gears of War 1 because 2016 will be the 10-year anniversary of Gears 1. So they could do that. I think that if they do it, I don't want Judgment in there because Judgment is a fucking abomination of the Gears of War franchise. I don't care what people say, that game is horrendous. Like, just leave it. It's like one of those games where you just don't want it to be. Like, how people feel towards Arkham Origins, I feel towards Judgment. Like, I was like, this is the end of Gears of War. I almost started crying because like, this is one of my favourite series.
It's definitely something you could pass. I agree. Big time.
I think if anything, I don't want to do the Marcus Phoenix collection because it's to the Master Chief collection. Originality gets destroyed, and I don't like that. I think that Gears of War 1, 2, 3 revamped HD, 60. Oh, they're all HD anyway. Sorry, 60 frames per second, 1080p, all DLC, and obviously the extra bonuses. And I think when they announce it next at E3, I think it's going to come out next year. And I think inside it's going to be a beta code to Gears of War 4.
That'd be smart.
I think that's going to be the selling point of it.
Yeah,
just like Gears of War, the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially since next year is the 10-year anniversary of Gears of War. So it would just make that much more sense to release it. It would be very odd if they released it this year. That's definitely sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll wrap up for our video game news. We're going to go ahead and move on to our entertainment section. Dude, I know both of these pieces are something that you could be intrigued with to talk about. I don't want to take away from you. So do you want to do the first piece or the second one? Do you want the first slice of pizza, or the second one? Which one do you want?
I don't really want either one, but...
Really? I thought you'd dig these. Oh, shit.
No, I'm just not in the kind of mood, because I feel like one of them is really kind of redone. You can take both of them. I'll let you roll with them.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I get to be gluttonous and take the 2 slices. I'll put them on top like Travolta. Stupid reference. All right, so first piece of news we have here, guys, is that the first Steve Jobs trailer showing Michael Fassbender as the title character was released. And I actually just finished seeing it right before we recorded a few minutes ago, or 40 minutes ago. But it's a minute and 10 minutes long. I'm sorry, a minute and 10 seconds long. It's a very short teaser, but it gets the point across. It actually got me really excited because it's one of those teasers that doesn't really reveal too much of the movie. It just lets you know, hey, we're making a Steve Jobs movie that's very different from the Ashton Kutcher movie that came out a few years ago. And if you stick around, you might be into something. You might get something that's very special. But the trailer also shows Seth Rogen as the Apple co-creator Steve Wozniak, and it also shows Kate Winslet as Joanna Hoffman, and she looks great as the man. She's aged so well, and it also shows Jeff Daniels as the former Apple CEO John Scully.
John Scully, yeah.
So it shows, so it shows like the main players, and this is a movie that my God, Adam and I have been talking about this for years now on several different avenues, and it's something that's I'm so happy it's finally coming together now, and that they're finally gonna go forward with it, and it's out of that stupid development hell that was in. Dude, I really got excited for it. Obviously there's it's just a trailer, it's a teaser trailer at that. And there, you can't judge a book by its cover. You gotta go into it and see what it is. I'm not saying I'd see it in movie theaters, only because, as we talked about off podcast earlier, movie theaters are so freaking expensive. But it's definitely something I would watch the second it's released as a rental. I would rent it for sure. I wouldn't wait for Netflix at this point. I would definitely rent it and see what it's about. Reviews, and opinions of others, not being taken into consideration. But well, dude, you actually showed me this because I didn't even know this existed. What was your you were like, dude, have you seen Magneto's Steve Jobs? I'm like, show me. Well, what's your thought on this, man?
I think the worst part is we should have listened to the old podcast first before we did this. Because a lot of things, I love when when something like this happens, I always kind of dip back into the archives and look at our other podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
Just because the thing has changed. Some episodes I just can't be arsed with. I'm like, Chris, I fucking hate everything. Leave me alone. And you're like, I'm like adamant, like it might be all right.
That's pretty much how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Both
no, I think
both in real life and in podcast life.
yeah,
This has happened. This is like you guys are getting we're capturing lightning in a bottle here. This is exactly how it is.
exactly rolls like this. I think this is the Steve Jobs sorry, I think this is the Steve Jobs biopic that should have been the original biopic, like the one and definitive one. Obviously, you do more, but I think that the Kutcher one and everything else aside, this is the kind of one that would partner with Pirates of Silicon Valley as the kind of Steve Jobs story. Like that's what you need. I like that it's Danny Boyle. I think he is underrated at some points. I think he has had his high points, and the teaser feels like a teaser trailer. That's why I loved it more, because I think people don't understand the concept of teaser. It just does it so well, and just like how it types Steve Jobs and then it shows Fassbender like literally for a few seconds, and it splices between Rogan and Winslet and kind of shows them quickly for a brief second. It does kind of sell that idea. I think Fassbender looks really good.
Yeah,
as Steve Jobs. I didn't think they could sell that at first. I think he does look like Steve Jobs to a certain extent.
They nailed the essence of Steve Jobs with him. Like he obviously doesn't look anything. Yeah, he looks nothing like him, obviously. But at the same time, you see him and you're like, dude, that's Steve Jobs. They nailed it.
Yeah, like the characters, like the kind of trademark features and stuff. They kind of nailed the thing. Yeah, obviously Fassbender's never going to look like Steve Jobs. He is Magneto after all, but. I think like it looks promising. I'm not going to go watch it in theaters because I know Steve Jobs is like life back of my hand now, and just like it doesn't really warrant a purchase. Like I'm more interested. I like the film I'd go and see in a biopic is NWA at the theaters because that looks really more. That's out of its kind of reach now. Like it's one of those biopics that everyone's been asking for years, and it's finally coming to fruition. And it's really, it's one of those parts of like history that should really kind of be revisited. I'm not saying that Steve Jobs shouldn't, but it's just that more in the sense that there's already been like 3 or 4 movies of it. But it's, I think the structure from what I remember it's based on, and like it's based on what Isaac and Steve Jobs biography, which I've read. It has what the Steve Jobs the one definitive Steve Jobs biopic should have. But also, I need to tell you something funny because I actually took a screenshot of this. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so in the actual trailer of a comment section to Frylock81, he commented after seeing this trailer, there needs to be more Steve Jobs movies, at least one a year for the next 10 years. I can see it now. Steve Jobs 2, The Legend of Wozniak's Go, Steve Jobs 3, Electric Boogaloo, Steve Jobs 4, The Steve Jobsning, Steve Jobs 5, Last Tango in Paris, Steve Jobs 6, Back in the Habit, Steve Jobs 7, The Return of the King, Steve Jobs 8, the best one, The Passion of Jobs. I actually took a screenshot of my phone because I was like, that needs a shout out one day, like a podcast or something. And thank God I actually got it. But no, I'm very much sold on the idea. I like the actors. Sort of like the actors. I'm not still kind of hesitant on Seth Rogen being Steve Wozniak. I like that Joanna Hoffman gets a bigger role. I think they really didn't kind of explore that much in the other films. And Boyle Fassbender is good.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's got the right stuff, dude. I mean,
the apple's ripe.
Yeah, very, dude. Ripe and fucking ready to be eaten. It's I think honestly, dude, I know that it's kind of like it's sad that this. You could just look at a movie and be like, that's an Oscar movie. But it like already, just by the teaser, it screams like Oscar worthy, like of recognition. I think all movies should be worthy of recognition, but unfortunately it's only a select type that we see. Not saying that, they're all bad, but it's only a select type. And this is like one of those movies that I'm like, this could be like in the Oscars, like a year after its release or whatever. But yeah, no, it's good stuff, man. I'm glad you showed it to me. I'm glad we were able to talk about it on this fine programming. All right, well, the last piece of news we have, entertainment and gaming combined, is they announced some more information on the new Friday the 13th sequel. I think we talked, it was either this year or last year, on how they're making a Friday the 13th video game. And they also, that same article, they're like, oh, we're also working on a movie too. And of course they're releasing it next year on May 13th, 2016, which of course is a Friday the 13th. There's a rumor that the movie was going to be a found footage type movie. So for those of you who don't know what we mean by that found footage, Blair Witch Project, I think there's a Dawn of the Dead, paranormal, things like that, where it's all from the perspective of a camera, and they're like, the following movie was found, or something like that, and they show it as if it was something that was found and is unexplainable or something like that. And so they basically came out and said, no, we're not doing that with Friday the 13th. This is what's his name? Brad Fuller, the producer. Yeah, what he had to say on it. He said, that was a road that we went down and tried to figure out. So they did try, to go down that route. Ultimately, I think Michael, Drew, and I felt that we couldn't figure that out, so we kind of jettisoned that whole notion, and we had to start over. We're in the latter phases of that starting over, and hopefully we're getting a script in the next month or two, and we'll go back to Crystal Lake. So very interesting that they were trying to do that. But then they decided not to. I actually think I'm glad they're not, because I don't think Friday the 13th is one of those movies. It could be, but I don't think it really is.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this movie shouldn't be even made. Let's just put that wide and clear. Found footage is just becoming the biggest cliche of horror movies at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sick and tired of seeing it. Stop doing it. It's not effective. At the height of being effective was Blair Witch Project. Like, that film is, in terms of like horror films that I give people to watch, like, that is one of them, with like The Exorcist and kind of like horror defining films. Like, it is up there as what it did was original, and stop trying to, plagiarize originality and just break it apart. To be honest as well, let's flip it again though, this question, the kind of like my found footage thing. It could have worked well with Friday the 13th, because Friday the 13th needs something like a fresh face. Mm-hmm. It is kind of like I think there's a podcast where I run you through the names of the kind of like of the series. It is ridiculous. I don't know where you can go with Friday the 13th right now, because like the remake that they did a few years ago was absolutely horrendous. I think Jason was running for some reason, and he also had a bow and arrow, if I was watching correctly. It's that kind of thing where I was watching it. He's taking up archery
now. Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's like I was watching like the Carrie remake with Chloe Grace Moretz. Like, I was just watching it. Like, do you have that thing where you watch it in the corner of your eye and kind of like someone's giving you a seizure attack? I sort of like that, kind of like how bad the Friday the 13th was. Like, why does he have an arrow? And at that point, I was almost like, I'm almost done with this film.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's actually another quote here from this article that I forgot to finish reading. He continued, Fuller, and he said, at the end of the day, those movies are so fantastic because Jason Voorhees is such a dynamic presence, and people love to see him do what he does well. We hope to put Jason in a situation where he's able to do that again, and it doesn't feel like you're seeing the same thing over and over. So, yeah, apparently whatever they're going to be doing, it's going to be apparently something new. I don't know.
Jason Voorhees is a very insipid character.
Yeah,
it's very boring. Like, he's very dry. Like, I mean, Freddy Krueger has much more of a personality because they do that on purpose. Mm-hmm. Like, he's intentionally like a monster with a sense of humor.
Right.
But like, I think even when you played Mortal Kombat, did you play Mortal Kombat X Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played him in the tower. You didn't buy him. No.
I will not confirm or deny that, Adnan.
Oh dear God, you're almost as bad as PR people.
No, what are you? I'm just saying, dude.
Well, I'm insinuating that you bought the
all I will say is that I did play him. He was he's pretty cool, man. I mean, it's kind of weird seeing him run, but
yeah, that was really funny. Just the way he runs is just really funny. He runs like a little girl.
I thought he was a cool character, though. I just think that since he doesn't speak, they should have added a little bit more flair to him.
That's the point I was getting at, though, because like that introduction, the unique character introduction, so it was pointless. Yeah. When they're trying to make something out of it, he just sits there and pulls a knife. He's almost as bad as Goro ripping that one guy in half. Like, that is kind of like my perception of Jason Voorhees. He's a very boring character, but they didn't do what John Carpenter did in the first Halloween film, where he made Michael Myers, who isn't really that much of an interesting character, the silent stalker.
Right.
And he became more interesting because of that, because that's where, he has a butcher knife as his weapon, but he's very kind of like... It's just that kind of thing, like when you're walking down a dark street and you just see something and you're almost terrified.
Yeah.
You kind of close your eyes and open them, keep rubbing them and just hoping that nothing's down there. That's what it was. I think that's what Jason Voorhees was like kind of in the original Friday the 13th. He's not in the first one, but he's in the second one. But there's no really kind of character development. He's not an interesting character. He's not like Pinhead or Leatherface or Freddy Krueger and the kind of how amazing character development is. So they really needed to take a big twist on it, and I just think it's a good thing, A, it's not found footage, and B, I just think this film should not exist.
It's a tough thing. I mean, they have that franchise. They want to do something with it, but at the same time, fuck it, there's only so much you can do after a while. So, I don't know. But yeah, so there you guys go. It's gonna be happening. You're gonna get another Jason movie, and who knows what crazy...
Jason goes to Disneyland.
Dude, I would love to see that. No joke.
He meets Elsa, he meets Rapunzel, they all do a dance-off.
I would love
Dude, it's happening. Dude, he's gone to space, he's gone to Manhattan. Obviously, the next choice is Disneyland. Or go to Europe, where he goes and sits next to sits under the Eiffel Tower.
You know who should play him, dude? It should totally be Ben. What's his
name?
No, fuck. The Die Hard guy.
Oh, Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Oh, because of Mark.
Yes, it needs to be Bruce Willis, man. He takes it off. He takes it off just to put it back on, and then does his thing.